Welcome to the Fit 15 podcast show, where you'll find health and fitness inspiration, motivation, and information shared in 15-minute episodes. Tune in while getting a move on to make leading and enjoying the benefits of a healthy lifestyle almost too easy. It's the Fit 15. And now your host, Catherine Basu.
Welcome to the Fit 15 podcast show. I'm your host, Catherine Basu, and my guest today is Kindal Sweet. I had Kindal on the show yesterday to share her journey from not a runner and hating running to Ironman athlete. Very inspirational, and she gets into her full journey. So head back to yesterday's episode if you did not get to listen to that yet. Today, Kindal and I continue our conversation, and she shares more of a reflection on her journey from 5K to Ironman triathlete. Here Kindal is to share more insights with you.
Running is such a big thing nowadays. There's always another race you can find.
That's so true. And we're so lucky, aren't we, to be running in this era, right? And actually have those extra options.
Yeah. Especially if it's your first, just make it a very, try to make your races memorable experiences. So that way you're not turned off from running. Because it really is a great, or even walking, or, trying different things like trail runs or just different stuff that can make you happy. Because I think in America these days, it's just a lot of people sit inside and on computers. And I think we're losing out on all that. I mean, this country has so much to offer, all that it has to offer. And a lot of things you can't see unless you go by foot.
That's true. That's what I love a runner, in traveling and just being able to see so much more, because even if I go for a short run, I can see so much more in a short time, right?
Yeah, and you can just weave in and out of the little nuances of a town, and everything's a little bit different on your own 2 feet than it is in a car, per se.
No, for sure. Well, I'm excited to keep following your journey. What's your next, do you have a next race that you're signed up for now? Or
I actually don't, because
which could be good.
Yeah, I have some tentative things in the thoughts, but nothing's been paid for in full yet. So we're going to Europe the next couple weeks for my best friend's wedding. So that'll be, and we're going to Italy and Sweden. So I think once I get back, I'll dial it in and figure out exactly what I'm going to do next. But it's almost over.
Yeah.
2015, it's over. Oh my goodness.
I know. I don't know how that happened.
So whatever your listeners' goals are, it's almost over. So make it count.
This is true. No, and it sounds like too, maybe it would be good for you to have that time away, physically from the US and just mentally a little break, and you'll be able to come back and have more perspective.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing this year too. It's just having that mental, just kind of lackadaisical. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I won't. I'm not going to do that marathon. Okay. Nothing really set in stone with me. I have things that I tentatively wanted to do. And then if they don't happen, I'm whatever. There's something else, this year is the year of whatever. It's okay, I'll do that. Okay, I won't. Okay, I'll do that. Okay. And I think that's good. Everyone have those years where it's not so hardcore training. Just have those years where you just race and run for fun and do whatever makes.
No, I love that.
That's what
And I don't know, Kindal, if you have any, because you had a huge half marathon PR just for the people who are just getting started and thinking about that. Do you have any insights on what made such a difference that you were able to achieve that?
Oh yeah. So, both my half and full marathon PRs. Oh my gosh. Yeah, they're big differences. So my marathon 4:12 to 3:16, so almost an hour. And my half is about 45 minutes. So 2:15 to 3:20 or 1:29. So, say the biggest advice is one, run your easy runs easy, very, very, very easy. So that should be somewhere between at least a minute per mile slower than marathon pace or 2 minutes slower than 5K pace. And to give you all a reference listening, Stephanie Bruce is a professional runner, and she runs 5 something for a marathon, and she runs her easy runs at 8-minute mile. So so that's not, and then your easy pace is not your marathon pace. So that's number one reason. Number two is vary your training. So you should have usually if you're running just say 4 days a week, that's a good number for a starting runner. You would have like 1 to 2 quality sessions. So that would be a speed or a tempo day, and then 1 easy run and 1 long run. But when you're starting out, I'd probably just start with 1 quality session and 2 easy runs and a long run. So making sure that you're making those hard days hard, those easy days easy. And the long run is a workout. Like whether you're running that easy pace or hard pace, like that's still a workout because that time when your feet is very demanding.
Right. No,
and then
sure.
Third is hire a coach. If you really want to improve, hire a coach, because that's the best way for someone to objectively look at your training, to make a schedule that works for you and works with your schedule and your life. And the best way for you to ensure that you're running easy and running hard to get to whatever goal you want to get to.
I love that. And you said, so Ironman training, because I haven't gone there to think about that yet myself, because it seems, I mean, I feel like the marathon's crazy enough for me for now, but you said,
oh, it is.
So think about, it's a 20-hour-a-week commitment. Anything else people should know if they're considering it, just some things to keep in mind or some insights?
So if you're considering Ironman, so a really great book if you're considering Ironman is called Be Iron Fit. And they have plans in that book for half Ironman. They have a half Ironman version and a full Ironman version. And I read both before I started training. And they have training plans in for beginner. Like if you want to just do like a just finished plan, so you just want to finish the race, an intermediate plan if you're like kind of in between, and then a competitive plan in case you want to be really sick, really compete in the Ironman event. And I think that's a great place to start because they give you like, I think she has like, I think they're 30-week plans or 24-week plans. So a very long time. And they break it down, what you should do every day, and then like all the nuances of Ironman. So I think that's an awesome place to start because it can be really overwhelming. But I think the main thing is like if you're a runner getting into Ironman, like I was, I just stuck to like, okay, so I run 4 days a week. And then I started working in kind of like you work in cross training. So then the other days I would swim and bike, or I would add like one of my easy runs. I would do that as a brick run. So I'd bike before and then I do my easy run as like a brick run.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for me, how I did it, because I coached myself for my first Ironman, is I just started off with like 4 days of running.
Hi friends, it's Catherine, and if you're joining us and doing that out and back 15-minute walk that I recommend, that is your halfway point reminder. You want to turn around now. If you have more time than that, I highly recommend continuing to listen to the episode while Kindal shares her tips. All right, back to Kindal.
And then I fit everything else around it.
Got it. That makes sense. And you actually coach people too, right?
Yeah, now I coach people. So I coach people in both marathoning and then people that are just getting into running, and then also triathletes from half Ironman to Ironman distance or Olympic distance. I think for a sprint, you don't need to hire a coach. Just money-wise, I don't know if it's really worth it. But I think if you're going to go the distance, and even the Olympic, it's pretty far distance. So if you're going to do anywhere from an Olympic and definitely a half and full Ironman, if you want to really be competitive, I think having a coach, or if you have a really busy lifestyle as well and you don't really know how to rearrange those non-custom plans like in Be Iron Fit, and you really want something that will fit your schedule, that won't overtax you, then hiring a coach is really key.
So if people wanted to maybe work with you, where should I send them to find out about how to do that?
Okay, so if you want to work with me as a client, you can go over to my blog, which I haven't updated recently because I've just been so busy, but Running with Strength,
yes.
and working. It's been Running with Strength blog.wordpress.com, or you can just email me at runningwithstrength88@gmail.com. So email is probably the best option, and then I can give you pricing and kind of like what it details. And, like I do one-on-one coaching. We use Training Peaks, and you get weekly check-ins and full access to me via email and also my phone number. So I'm very close with my clients. So if anyone wants to get in touch with me, and I work with everyone from, like I said, beginner runners to people trying to Boston qualify to people doing half Ironmans and Ironmans. So, I don't have any like super famous people, but just those. I'm just like, I'm just like a recreational runner, like living my life, and I just like to help people. That's really why I do it, just to help people, because I have a full-time job. So I just like to be part of son's running journey, because I had my dad in the beginning, and he kind of helps a lot. So I feel like some people are alone in this journey, and it helps to have someone around that has a little bit more knowledge. And that way you don't get stuck being injured or anything, because you have somebody that knows a little bit more than you do, helping you out along the way.
And you said like that. Yeah. Because, there's always that quote, I forget, people say it in different ways, but that running is, 90% mental or whatever. So you can't really get in your head, right? So I love how you kept sharing that having the coach can really help kind of minimize that a little.
Yeah, it does. I think it really does. And I mean, it really takes that like stress of planning your life, like out of the game. You just check your phone. Like, what do I have to do today? Oh, I have a bike and a run. Okay.
Yep.
Like, this is what I have to do during my bike, and this is what I have to do during the run. Or if you're just running, like, oh, okay, today's cross training day, or today is running day. Oh, okay, I have mile repeat. Like, you don't have to think about, what do I want to do for speed work today? Like, it's already on there. Oh, I need to hit this pace. And then if you have a Garmin with training, you can just sync it, and it'll just upload your Garmin and beep at you. So you really don't have to think.
I know. It's gotten so much easier, right? Like in the last 2 years, especially.
You don't even have to write it on your hand if you don't want to anymore. You can just link it up.
Funny. I ran my first marathon back in 2010, and I found, because we moved recently, and I found a little Ziploc bag that had the pace chart on it. And I was like, I don't think I need this anymore.
Yeah, I didn't even have a watch my first marathon. I just ran. So I would know what I was running till I crossed the finish line. Like, oh, okay.
See? Yeah. Well, Kindal, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. It's super inspiring. I mean, I don't know. I keep saying I don't think I would do the Ironman, but talking to you, I don't know. You plant the seed anyways. So
one of them. Everyone should do a half Ironman or Ironman. But if you can do an Ironman, I think everyone should do an Ironman, just because, I don't know, there's just something about it. My most memorable race is still my BQ, but I think the most special is Ironman, just because you just put your body through so much. And even though it's so long, by the time you're done with it, you're like, it doesn't really seem like it was that long out there. But so much happens during that time frame. And I think the most amazing thing about Ironman, and maybe you get this during marathons too, but I feel like maybe you're just out there for so long, you notice it during Ironman.
Sure.
But, I mean, you just see because when you're out there, it's usually loops. So you see people of all different variabilities depending on what loop you're on and what loop they're on. And, I remember seeing this lady in Santa Rosa. She had a prosthetic leg, and she was 70 years old, out there doing this Ironman.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, I should probably not be whining over here.
Right.
Suck it up. You need to suck it up. And so I think it's humbling. It's a humbling race to see those people around you really fighting. And I think everyone's really struggling. No matter how fast you are, you're struggling when you hit that marathon. Mm-hmm. And I think it's cool to see you're all struggling together. Because during a marathon, everyone kind of feels that. And I think that's why people love the marathon. Mm-hmm. But you really only see that. It's still short, realistic, right. In retrospect, it's still only for us faster folks, 3 hours, 30. And, for the longer folks, I feel like probably they get that same experience when you're the 4:30 to 5:30 group. You probably get that very camaraderie experience that you're all out there together. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what you get. And you get that really strong feeling that you're just all out there together, trying to finish this out. And everyone's very supportive during the Ironman. Everyone's you go, and they're just really supportive to one another and the athletes. And I think there's also just nothing like running down that red carpet, especially at night. If you have a night finish with all the lights on you and a million people screaming for you, and your name being called, it's very individual. And they say you are an Ironman, your name. So it's Kindal Sweet, you are an Ironman, as you cross the finish line, and it's individual for every single finisher. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a very special finish line experience. And you're also just very tired and very you've put it all out there. You've put everything your body could give, kind of like an ultra, which I haven't even ventured in that world yet. But those ultra runners, that's very special. So you're really testing your body. And I think it's different than an ultra because, you don't have to run the whole way. But it's very special, and the community is just really awesome. So I think but get into it. I think, start with a sprint, then do an Olympics, and then do a half, and then maybe the next year do a full. Like, don't just do like I did and go straight through. But I mean, you can. But I think better off would be if you like did a couple sprints and then did a couple Olympics, and then maybe you did like a half in the end of one year, and then maybe the next year you did like a couple Olympics, a half, and then you did a full. So I think maybe doing it over a 2-year span versus just like jumping in feet first. But obviously, if you've listened to this whole podcast by now, you realize I just jump in feet first. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But
do you feel that's like your personality? Because sometimes I find, and you mentioned you had the coach who just did her Olympic qualifying time, right? Even though she had just had a baby. Like, do you ever find that it's like our age where you're like, well, I have to get this all done because who knows what would happen after I have kids?
Oh yeah, because I mean, I'm 30 right now, so we're pushing that marker. So right now I'm like, I better get some stuff done before I have. But then I start to realize, like, first off, there's tons of women that are super fast after pregnancy.
Right.
Super fast.
Yep.
And I also realize that, age is just a number, and there's plenty of 40-year-olds out there Olympic qualifying times with Olympic qualifying times. Like, nothing's a goal in any way, shape, or form. So I'm nowhere close to that. But just for a reference, like just because you're in your 30s and you're going to have kids, it doesn't mean like you're out of the game. Like, I think just like an injury, not that pregnancy is an injury, but just like an injury, like you can take that time to really just kind of like have fun with running and like kind of rest the body a little bit. And I think that's what pregnancy allows women to do, and why they get so fast after is you give your body a little bit of grace and a little bit more rest. You got a baby in there, so you got to take them into account. So you're a little bit more lenient on yourself with pacing and with easy runs and with, how much you run or how little, and you're more apt to give yourself rest than you would if you were not pregnant. So I think that's why when people come back from pregnancy, they're super speedy because they've taken all this time to rest.
Right.
So therefore, they have all this energy, and their legs aren't tired anymore. And of course, you've lost some muscle, but your legs aren't tired anymore. And your body's not, I mean, I'm sure it's tired from having a baby, but, I think a different type of exhaustion. And then that running also becomes like your me time and time for you. And I think that's why a lot of times it's a lot of success that comes after it. But yeah, of course I feel that like, oh crap, I'm just taking.
I'm laughing because I've totally been there, and I wanted to bring this up too because I know people who listened to yesterday's episode where you shared your journey and you had that moment of either we're going to get pregnant or I'm going to run the Ironman, your conversation you have with your husband. I think many women have been there where they feel this time pressure about reaching certain fitness goals of theirs before they're pregnant. But then when we actually take the time to see what's happened with other women, we realize that it doesn't have to be that big time pressure for us.
Yeah. And, you can always run when you're pregnant, unless you have something that prevents you from doing so. So I feel like nowadays, it's not like you're out, you can still run if you want to when you're pregnant, and you could still have like a fit pregnancy, and, and all that matters, like all that time, even little stuff like matters when you come back. So I think it's just like a lifelong journey. And I think I always, people try to, told me when I have the same thing, like, oh my God, like running's always going to be there. Like it's always there. Those marathons, they're always going to be there. They're not going anywhere. Boston isn't going anywhere. Chicago's not going anywhere. None of those world majors are going anywhere anytime soon. So it's not like you can't have it all. It's not like you can't have your cake and eat it too. It just might not be like Boston 2020, It might be like Boston 2004. But I mean, I look back and it's since 2009, I started running, and I'm like, wow, I just like blinked. And all of a sudden it's 2008, and I'm way stronger than I was when I was 16, and I think a lot of times, especially women runners, get a lot stronger as they get older, but you also get wiser, and you're not a 20-year-old. It's like, I just gotta run, because you have all the energy and you don't get injured and you can just do whatever you want. Everything's like not tired yet.
Yeah.
And I think as you get older, more like focused, like, okay, well, I got to really make this count, and I got to really recover. And I think that's why people have a lot of PRs, I think, later in life, is they get smarter,
Yeah, there's something to that, getting older and wiser, right?
Yeah. You just get a little bit smarter. Don't do as much stupid things.
Yeah. What does your dad, who got you into that first full marathon, think about your running career?
Oh, okay. So my dad, he did the marathon. So he did the marathon with me in the 4:12, and it was way far away from his marathon PR. But he had not been running for a while.
Sure.
And he retired that day from marathoning. That was his first marathon and his last. So he hasn't run a marathon since. So he did his first one. Disney was like his 5-year anniversary. So I think I was around 7 years old that year, 1995. I think he did. And then he did the one with me, and he told me the whole time, like, this is my last one, and I have been his last one.
That's so special, though.
Yeah, and he came to, my first is last. It was really special. It's like one of my fondest running memories. And I'm still so grateful. My dad came to all my Ironman events. He came to my first, and he always tells me, he's like, you're so much better than me.
Aw.
I got tired out. My last race my dad did with me, it was a sprint triathlon on the 4th of July before I graduated college. And he beat me by like a couple minutes. And he was like, that's it. I'm done. Like, I think she's going to catch me now on. And, when he's like, he always says, like, you're the more improved version of me. And he's super proud of everything that I've accomplished.
No, that's awesome.
And, my mom and my dad are always super proud of, no matter what I do, no matter what time it is. But of course, when I go fast, they're just always super impressed. And I'm always super impressed because I was, like I said, anyone that knew me knew that I could not run, and I would cry when I ran, and I hated it. It's slow. And my dad was like, I remember my dad telling me when he first started running, like, we're walking. And I'm like, I'm running. He's like, we're walking. I'm running. So to come from, my dad perceives me as walking when I'm running, to running a 1:29.5 or a 3:16 marathon or an 11:51 Ironman, he's like, wow. He's like, sometimes I can't believe you. He's like, I know it's you because I'm watching you do it, but sometimes it's just so hard to fathom that that's really you.
No,
and so amazing. I think a lot of people get caught up in that. You get really fast, and then you're like, oh my God, like, I'm so slow today, and I was just fast last week. And you don't go back and look back to, like, really, where did you come from? Like, where did this all start? And when I look back at that, and I look back at where I am now, like, even though sometimes I don't get the times that I really want to, or I think I should get, when you look back, I talk to people and I look back and I'm like, well, my first 5K was 33 minutes. So a 20-40 really isn't that bad, like, in retrospect, but it's hard to think about that in that moment. And then if it gets taken away from you, you realize just how important running at all is. If you ever get injured and it gets taken away, or like that times when I couldn't run or work out because I had the adrenal fatigue last year, you really learn to appreciate that it really isn't how fast you go or how far, it's just the ability to move. And if you ever have it taken away from you, you'll realize that it's just so, so important.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely agree. I've had that experience for sure, but I think it's made me, like you said, appreciate running so much more, being grateful for any day I can actually go out and run. So
yeah, exactly. And it also makes you more like cognizant, like, of little twinges that are going on. And now I go see like an release therapist, or I'll go to PT right away. Like, I don't think people always realize, like, an investment in your health is important. And so, like, I invest money now back into myself. Like, I spend the money on ART, or active release therapy, or massage, or physical therapy, because it's way better than being injured and having to spend all the money to get fixed. So I think sometimes in taking the rest and, doing the little things, rolling, icing, and I think especially with new runners, they kind of push through injury, and we've all been there. I'm not, immune to that, and I'm sure neither are you. And so I think it's just good for new runners to know that, or if you're just getting into exercise, that if like something hurts, take a rest, reassess. And then if it doesn't still feel right, like, go see a physical therapist or an active release therapist, because most of the stuff is muscular. And so orthopedics really deal with that. They deal with bones. And so unless it's broken, they don't really fix it. So I think seeing someone that really deals with like muscular therapy and the way you move and functional assessing is really key. And also getting a gait assessment and getting the right shoes and getting that done by a lot of physical therapists who specialize in running will do a gait assessment and look at your hip height and also look at the way your feet land and what kind of shoes you should be wearing, not necessarily to a brand at a store that one store carries. And they're like, this is what shoe you need. Like they are actually looking at you, tell you what kind of shoe you need, and kind of some exercises to create, imbalances, and like just fixing those things early on and taking that investment if you really want to get into running is, I think, really good for new runners, just as much as like coaching or anything, like just taking an investment in your form.
Yeah. And I agree. When I finally got out of my IT band injury, it was actually after seeing a physical therapist and having someone work on the muscular parts versus just the, when I went to the physician, they said I was all good, just, it'll be fine. But I wasn't able to get over it until I had, the extra eyes on what was going on.
Yeah. And like, they'll just pump meds at you. And I mean, I'm in the medical industry, like that's all we can do in the emergency room too. And so I'm like, oh, you have a syringe, here's some ibuprofen, like here's a steroid pack, but like really that does nothing. And I've had those things thrown at me, like you're just masking something. You really need to get functional treatment of something. And so I think that's really important. And I didn't know that when I was getting into running, and I learned that the hard way. It took me years, but I think maybe someone on this podcast who's dealing with stuff will be like, oh, what's that? And maybe go look. And obviously it's pretty easy to find a physical therapist in your area, but if you want active release therapy, you could just go type in active release therapy and just Google, and the ART website will come up, and then you can click find providers, and then you type in your zip code, and it will show you all the providers in your area. That's always what I tell my clients.
Yeah, no, for sure. Oh, that's awesome. Well, I love all these tips you shared. I know you have your day off, and I could talk to you all day, but I don't know if you want me to do that. And I don't know if I should do it, because then I'm going to end up signing up for an Ironman, and my husband's, not in on the conversation. So
well, you should. I recommend Louisville and I don't know where you live, but Louisville is legit. Where do you live? East Coast, West?
So I grew up on the East Coast in Connecticut, but I live out in Hermosa Beach, California now. So if you ever want a good marathon, I recommend Mountains to Beach or Ventura Marathon. They're both very similar courses now, and they're net downhill, but it's not like a Revel where it's like crazy downhill. It's like a nice gradual one.
So your first half Ironman needs to be Oceanside, hands down.
Oh, okay.
So that's one you should just sign up for. It usually sells out pretty quickly, but it might still be open. But yeah, sign up for that one. That would be my suggestion.
See, it's not too far.
100%. But I think it's in April or May, but yeah.
Okay,
100%.
so I have some time. Well, like I said, I really enjoyed chatting with you. I appreciate you taking the time on your day off to share some inspiration with the listeners. And I look forward to continue to follow you on Instagram now.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the Fit 15. For show notes and more, visit fitarmadillo.com/podcast. See you next time.
Hi, friends. It's Catherine, and just wanted to pop on here to remind you that this episode was part 2 of a conversation I had with Kindal. So head back to yesterday's episode if you missed it, for her journey from hating running to becoming an Ironman athlete. And if you are looking for motivation, no matter what your fitness level or goals, I also invite you to join the Fit Armadillo 1 mile a day fitness challenge. You can learn more about that in today's show notes. Hope you're having a wonderful day. If you subscribe to the podcast, I will chat with you tomorrow. Bye.